Well, thanks for talking to me today. I appreciate it. I started it last night and ended up watching it all, so clearly I enjoyed it. Because I finished it. Stayed up too late like I always do. But I really enjoyed it. Quite creepy. So to start out, what was it for each of you? What was it, though, about the character or the script that made you think that you just had to do it? We'll go Brittany, Nat, and Aimee.
When I first read the pilot, I got really excited when I got the call from my agent. I wanted to do something that kind of reflected maybe the world that people in my life experienced, like my family, my husband, and everybody who works in a job that they kind of deal with the emotions, under the surface. But this is kind of like a topsy-turvy version of it. I was really excited to play an adult and just really excited to work with such an incredible cast, knowing who was going to be a part of it. I mean, to be able to work with these incredible young actors that just create story. It just makes my job easy. And then being able to work with a veteran like Christoph Waltz was awesome. And our creators were incredible, just everything. It was a dream.
I think for me, I was reading the first script, the pilot, and it was like this eerie, beautiful landscape. And I was thinking, wow, it's really mysterious and I'm really intrigued, but I don't really know what the tone is. And then the twist ending happened at the end of the pilot. And I was like, I screamed in my apartment. I was like, I have to be part of this project, immediately. And I chased it like a rabid dog.
It was just so unusual, like the tone was unusual and, like you said, quite creepy. And I just love to be a part of things that don't make a whole lot of sense to me. You know what I mean? That I'm like, how are they going to do this? Like, it's exciting when I don't know where anything is going. It feels like a real challenge. And I love that. I love that about this script.
I was going to say, Internet Movie Database just says comedy, and I started watching like, this is not just a comedy, clearly.
It's hard to pin down, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, definitely. So what parts of the characters did you have the most difficulty connecting with? Just go the same order.
Elaine was a bit elusive to me. I think that I'm a very emotional person. I'm very expressive. I am someone, and I think Elaine is in that form, but I feel like tapping into this go, solutions-based, a little bit more, I would say that she's empowered, but it's almost like flipped upside down. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty empowered person in ways that come off very soft. And I feel like,
yeah, she's kind of
flipped inside out. So I think just keeping the intention and keeping the drive of Elaine was like exercise. It was a great challenge and I loved it. And I was really excited. Another reason why I wanted to do this.
All right. Nat?
I just would never know what it was like to smoke marijuana before. It was a huge research period. Just trying different strands and really trying to figure out, what is it like to smoke weed? You know what I mean? Like pot, as the kids call it, or, smoking dope, as my mom says. I weirdly really related to the character in that even in time of crisis that there's a gallows humor. I think the hardest part of my role was that I was just subjected to so much trauma. It was like, how can I go even further down into a hole of despair than I already was in the episode previous? It's just like. But the great thing about Tony's writing is that it's really buoyant and it gives you a lot of, it lifts you up even when you're, it's so, even it's so destabilizing and it's also so funny and it's also kind of heartbreaking. So it does a lot of the work for you.
Right. Yeah, it really does. I think the hardest part for me was I was doing a play at the same time I was doing Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and playing like Honey, who is like the ultimate housewife, and
He was
you know,
amazing as Heinlein.
Amazing.
they both went to see it and they were very lovely about it. But I think what was difficult was like going from that just to being like an open.
It was like a 6-hour play, and she was doing it every
but truly 3.5 hours, 3 intermissions. But it felt like going from like cutting, a wound, recutting it every single night, to then coming to this and playing someone who I think is pretty strong. I think Patty she really knows who she is, or she thinks she does. And then when faced with the reality of like her relationship and who she wants to be and what she needs, and who Craig really is, I think that it's another kind of hurt, but it's not like on the sleeve as much. It's more, I think Patty's a little bit, she doesn't want to look so much until she does.
All right, makes sense. Now, I did want to ask you guys about your preparation, other than smoking pot, maybe. Did you, I don't know, maybe you have worked in an office.
Actually, I did enough smoking pot like in high school that it actually freaked me out now. But I knew what it was like.
But have you guys, have you worked like in an office before or anything like that before you got into acting or anything like that?
I shadowed my friend who's a coder. He was actually doing it in school at the time, just to kind of know what I was talking about. But, I asked Tony, what kind of coders are we? And he said, it's coders out of my imagination. So which is kind of actually genius. He wanted us to really be creative in our interpretations of this character, and not to, because the show isn't really based in the real world. It tackles real themes, but it's heightened. It's in some kind of alternate universe.
At least we hope so. You don't want that kind of loss.
One thing that happened to me when I was working on it was that my dreams were infiltrated by the show. Every single night I dreamt of Patoff and Elaine and this. It was like, there's something about the show that digs itself into your subconscious. So I think, just kind of living through that was the best preparation.
All right. What about you, Brittany?
For preparation for this character, I think that it was consistently just trying to find a truth in the reason why she did what she did.
Aimee?
Well, I think what sort of drew me, or the preparation, I guess, was more so a curiosity in how, like, me as a person living in the world, like, how do people fall into very extreme ideologies? How do they fall into this behavior that maybe if you'd met him 6 months before, you'd be like, well, they could never fall prey to this QAnon shit, whatever. And then all of a sudden here they are. And I think it's that. I think it's sometimes even people who are very strong-willed and strong-minded, if you catch them right at the right time in their life or the wrong time in their life, you can do just about anything, especially if you're powerful enough or have enough influence or have enough persuasive energy. And that was interesting to me. I wanted to know how someone as strong as Patty could go from having a path forged with concrete to literally packing her bags and maybe having nowhere to go at the end. Like, how does that happen to someone? And so that was interesting to me.
That makes sense. Is there anything that you guys learned about, and maybe this is sort of connected to this, but anything that you guys learned about yourselves from working on this that you realized after kind of
doing it? I found it to be a really formative experience. I think like people in all different walks of life, but definitely in our business, actors, it's really hard to stay true to your moral compass and to not be a people pleaser. And one of the things that I think Craig goes on his journey is to be more is to mature and to be stronger in his sense of self and his sense of ethics. And I felt weirdly like this was I came into my adulthood while making the show, and yeah.
Right. What about
now
you guys?
I'm a complete adult with no childish qualities.
All right. What about you guys? Is there anything you can think of that you
Learned
about yourself?
Yeah, I think that I learned just a little bit about work ethic, I think, and keeping up, and it was just very formative. I think it's kind of hard to put into words how I felt impacted and learned so much from this job. But I think you just learn everything. You learn something at every job that you do, and kind of are shaped by the character. It's almost like living in a different person. So it's
Right, that makes sense.
I came away with it. I thought it was a very expanding sort of experience for me, watching, getting to know Christoph and Nat and Brittany, and learning something new from each and every one of them. I think, you know, in particular with Brittany, there's a real sort of like stillness in her acting that is inspiring to me, and I just really love that. And with Nat, I think it was his the commitment to the truth of the scene and putting the artistry first and not letting other things, like sometimes I'd come to work and be like, I got to leave by 5 because I have to make it to the theater, and just like taking a deep breath and knowing that the people around me are focused on the right thing. And that's hard to do in this business because there's so many other things going on, but they're both, and Christoph as well, very committed to the artistry of it. And that is very inspiring to me.
Great. Well, thank you, all of you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm waiting for people to see it so I can talk about it. I have questions. I have comments.
Well, you're on like the moon or something, so you're not going to be able to find it. Do they have Amazon up there in the galaxy?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day, guys.